Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want to see more content like this. Definitely leave a comment in the comment section down below, because today we've got news of something that might happen, and I fingers crossed genuinely hope that it does. One of my favourite movies ever, which is 20 years old this year, unbelievably, which was 28 Days Later, might be getting a threequel, so it might be turning into a trilogy. I really hope it does. I found this article by Virgin Radio UK. Shout out to Virgin Radio UK for writing it. And it is about Danny Boyle. Danny Boyle reveals 28 months later script has finally been finished. So they've been working on the script for quite some time, I do believe. It's finally been finished, so it's there, it's ready to go. Just needs a director, lots of money, or maybe it doesn't need lots of money. I think the budget on the original one was something like £5 million. I think it made like £70 million at the box office, which if you transfer into today's, it's like $100 million movie. For a low budget zombie horror movie, that's quite outstanding. Let's get into the article anyway. I'd love to see, what do you think? I'd love to see 28 months later, I think they're calling it at the minute. So Danny Boyle has revealed that the script for the highly anticipated 28 months later is finally complete, and the director is keen to helm the third movie, which is a plus point. He didn't direct the second one, that was Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, but he's keen to come back and do this one. He told the publication, "I'd be very tempted to direct it. It feels like a very good time actually. It's funny, I hadn't thought about it until you just said it. I remembered, bang, this script, which is again set in England, very much about England. Anyway, we'll see, who knows." 28 months later would be a follow-on from 28 Days Later, also directed by Boyle and released in 2002. The movie was set 4 weeks after an unknown and incurable virus swept the UK and centred around a group of survivors trying to find sanctuary. I think that the script for 28 months was written by Alex Garland, and Alex Garland is quite the writer. He actually wrote the novel The Beach. I think it's the same one that was turned into a movie. He also wrote the screenplay for 28 Days Later by Danny Boyle, Sunshine by the same director. He even did the screenplay for Dread, for God's sake. Please write another one. Please write a sequel to Dread, because we need that immediately. Garland made his directing debut with Ex Machina, a sci-fi movie, and then he went on to make the not so good Annihilation with Natalie Portman. You can see it on Netflix if you care to give it a look. 28 Days Later is 20 years old this year, and I remember it came out the year before I started my film and TV production degree. I remember us all getting hard on over the movie because we found out that I think the opening scene, not the entire film, but the opening scene was actually shot on the same camera that we had at the college/university, and we were absolutely buzzing about it. It was the Canon XL1. It took little mini DV tapes, and it was like groundbreaking news, and we were all like, we thought we were all superstars because we were using the same equipment as Danny Boyle, who'd made this $1 billion movie. Anyhow, shout out to the CCAD massive. You're all a bunch of heroes. Anyway, a second film was released in 2007 called 28 Weeks Later, directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. I mentioned him, yes. This installment was set 6 months after the virus took hold of the country, as the US Army attempted to secure an area of London for survivors to repopulate and start again. But of course, things don't go according to plan. Of course they don't. Otherwise you wouldn't have a movie, would you? It would just be shit. It would just be people doing things. Cillian Murphy there on one of the many London bridges. I think they had to film that at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning before any of the traffic had actually hit the bridge, so they could do that scene and make it look like a desolate London. Anyway, most recently Boyle has been working on the 6-part miniseries Pistol. It was based on the Sex Pistols. He believes making movies for theatrical release is becoming harder and harder, and it has deterred him from making any more. I kind of get what he's saying there, right? And I think, well, I hope he's not one of the maddies. I think he's on about like all the boxes that you have to tick now in order to make a movie to impress them, whoever they are, because it's always some hidden, faceless body of people that are complaining about, you haven't got this in, you haven't got that in, you haven't got representation in here, you haven't got this demographic and that demographic, and you're not sort of looking towards this. It's just like, fucking make your own films then. You go and make some films. All the ones that are complaining about it, go and make your own movies. We just want to be entertained like we used to be. He explained it might come back into focus because one of the things that happened in the business at the moment is it has to be a big reason for you to go to the cinema, because there are less and less reasons. I haven't been to the cinema for, I can't even remember what the last movie, it was probably Top Gun. There's no superstars in Hollywood anymore. There's only Tom Cruise, probably Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. Movies now are being written by activists and children and people with no life experience. You're putting people in like story groups who just spend all day scrolling through their phones thinking that's real life. They're all on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all that shite. There's nothing up here to put onto the page. However, he admitted 28 months later might just get people back into the cinema. Do you know what? I think it would get me into the cinema, and I'll tell all of yous to go to the cinema. Because if it does get made and it goes to the cinema, I am going to the cinema. I'm going to the cinema to see Nosferatu next year when Robert Eggers gets his finger out and starts making the movie with Bill Skarsgård. I think that's going to be excellent. It's only the second, like, in 100 years, it's only the second time that movie's been remade. It was remade in 1979 or something by Werner Herzog, and Klaus Kinski played the vampire. That's going to be awesome. John Wick 4's out next year. Can't wait to see it. It also looks like Cillian Murphy would be up for returning to complete the trilogy, as Cillian also told NME, every time I do bump into Danny or Alex, I always mention it, because I showed it to my kids recently, some Halloween about 4 or 5 years ago, and they loved it. It really stands up, which is amazing for a film that is 20 years old. It does. I've watched it recently. I haven't watched 28 Weeks recently. I'll have to watch that again. 28 Days Later I watched recently, and I just enjoyed it because it's a great act and it's a great script. It's well shot. It's got some really good actors in it. It's got, obviously, Cillian Murphy's in it, Christopher Eccleston's in it, Brendan Gleeson's in it, Naomi Harris. There's a whole host of good, like, British actors. It's well worth a watch. Go and find it and watch it. I think it's on horrible Disney Plus. But if you've got that, go and watch it. It's an excellent film. If they make a sequel, I'm 100% going to cinema to see it, if the cinemas haven't all closed down by the time it gets made. So Cillian Murphy rounds off with, so yeah, I love the idea and it's very appealing to me, which is great. I mean, he's finished with Peaky Blinders. He's done like however many series, and I think they're making a movie, but I think he's all done with that. So, you know, he's got nothing to lose. Get yourself in. $20 million budget, 150 million at the box office. I don't know. I'll go and see it 3 times. If you can hear snoring and horrible noises, it's the dogs behind me. You pair of delinquents. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you want to see 28 Days Later Part 3? 28 months later? Do you want to see 28 years later? 28 decades later? You know what I mean? Zombies in space or whatever. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much, and goodbye.